Last year we had 10 deaths. 4 of them were children under 10. One of them, they could only recognise his body by his shoes. I'm Stan Rawlinson, I'm a dog behaviourist and obedience trainer. I'm also an expert witness under the Dangerous Dogs Act, and I assess dogs that have fallen foul of the law, attack people. And today I'll be looking at videos of dog attacks and explaining why it happened and what we should do under those circumstances. Okay, let's have a look at the first one. Okay, so the first video that I'm looking at is the one in Birmingham where a young girl, 11 years old, was attacked suddenly by an XL Bully. You can actually see parts of it here where it's attacked her. Now, afterwards, I've seen this clip before and I've actually looked at it. And what happened here is the girl looked at this dog. The dog made eye contact. She then panicked. She screamed and she ran. That scream and that running stimulated the dog to attack her. At that moment, there was a couple of really, really brave guys that went in and they got the dog off her, but the dog took its center of attention off this girl and onto those 2 guys, chased him across the road into a garage and attacked him, and attacked both of them. In fact, all 3 people ended up in hospital. If those guys hadn't walked in and jumped on that dog and pulled it off at that particular time, she would have died, almost certainly. These dogs go for the neck, and they can pull out the windpipe, they bite the carotid arteries all the way down here, and people bleed out, and some are so badly injured by this, they just don't survive. And we've had an enormous amount of deaths over the last 3 years from these types of attacks. At one point, one of the men had managed to pick up an instrument. It was a spade, and he hit this dog on the back and over the head with it. It didn't blink. Now, if you got hit with a spade or a blunt instrument like that, you would probably just go down and pass out straight away. That dog did not. It continued trying to kill that man on the floor. So this sort of dog is very difficult to stop. So what do we do in these circumstances? Well, it was almost like a perfect storm. And that perfect storm was the fact that she screamed and she ran. What we should do with this type of dog that is predator chase aggressive, that comes at you in that way and carries on biting, is if you run, you will stimulate the aggression. You will get more injured by running. You cannot outrun these dogs that run at 35 miles an hour. If you were Usain Bolt, you might have a chance, but if you're not, you've got no chance whatsoever. The best bet is if it comes at you, hit the deck and curl into a ball. And when I say a ball, tuck your hands behind your back, get down low, so you're covering your neck, you're covering your face, you've got your head and your hands by that, pulling it out so they can't get to these arteries here. And try not to scream if the dog is biting you. Now, what it's going to probably go at is your back or your bum. And you're down with your feet tucked in and down like that. If it can't get you when you're not fighting back seriously, and to try and fight one of these dogs is almost impossible, then it will probably go and move away to something else or go back to the owner that it's escaped from. Okay, we're looking at a clip here that in a park in London, and a man is walking 3 bully type dogs. I can't tell from the video whether they're XL Bullies or whatever. They may be pit bulls, they may be XL Bullies, they may be American bulldogs. There could be any of the Mastiff type breeds from what I can see here. But once they get hold of it, they don't want to leave go, and they're going all the time. This lady was probably badly bitten on this one. And once again, we get a situation whereas one person couldn't control one of these dogs. I don't believe it's possible. If one of these dogs wants to go, it will go. And if it's 9, 10 stone or something like that, that person's not going to stop it. This man had 3, he was walking them. It looks as though 1 or 2 of them had leads, but certainly not all of them. But it wouldn't have made any difference. He would have been able to hold them anyway. It wasn't a particularly big man. I would imagine that girl was absolutely terrified, and for the rest of her life, she'll be terrified of dogs. If she's walking down a road anywhere and one of those types of breeds walks towards her, she will cross the road, rest of her life. She's going to be a changed person because of that attack. And that could have been fatal. It wasn't, fortunately, but it could have been. This was an accident looking for somewhere to happen. It really was. I have to say she was a very lucky lady. It's certainly a bull breed of dogs that's involved. So what I'm looking at here is a police horse being attacked by a dog, repeatedly attacked. Some of these dogs are used as weapons. They're weaponized for drug dealers, for varying other villains, etc. The XL Bully, for instance, is the size, the large, really large ones, the size of an American mountain lion. Now, you wouldn't walk around the streets with an American mountain lion on a lead or walking next to you off a lead in London, in any park or anywhere. But we do with these dogs, and yet they're about the same weight. They have the same impulse, the same genetic need to attack, kill, and kill. These videos are quite shocking. What's happened here, and this is the one where the guy's walking, an old lady, I think it is. The dog's on the lead. This man's dog immediately attacks the other dog. Once again, yeah, a large dog. It looks like an English Bull Terrier almost. Guy is strangling it, who owns it, and has pulled it back. This situation is all too common where people get hurt, and once again related to lack of early socialization if he's going for the dog, or actually purposely being trained to fight other dogs. There's a lot goes on in this country with dog fighting. It is a lot bigger than a lot of people are imagine. There is a dog, the guy has got it around the neck. He could have got, who owns it, he could have got bitten at that time, but the dog was absolutely fixated on really damaging that dog, and he was biting and twisting. Now, there is some of these bully breeds called gator dogs. I haven't mentioned it before, but there is. They're called gator dogs because they've got wider mouths, bigger mouths. Their heads are slightly flatter, and they have a habit of going in and turning, spinning, and pulling lumps of meat out. We would have seen that almost on the one with the horses, where it bit round and bit chunks out of it. So these are coming into this country as we speak because they weren't bred till after the XL Bullies and after the other dogs. This is a typical reaction of a dog, one that has not been very well socialized with other dogs in that first 16 weeks, and or perhaps purposely made to be aggressive with other dogs because of the dog fighting scene that goes on in this country. This is in Sheffield. It's a man walking his smallish poodle type dog, or it could be a cockapoo or something like that, and a large bull breed comes out. It doesn't attack the dog, it attacks the man, and it went for the arm in particular. It grabbed him by the arm and it just pulled him straight down to the ground. Now, if he hadn't have got up, that might have transposed onto the throat, because a lot of people are getting killed because the dogs are pulling them down, as they did the 11-year-old girl in Birmingham, and he couldn't do anything. He didn't run. He couldn't run anywhere. It fought off. A car came along and hit the dog. Not hard, but it hit the dog to try to stop it having a go at this man, and it paused. It then sees a man go out outside a camera, and his dog runs off, and this other dog run after it, and that's how it finishes. I don't know what the end result of this one is, but certainly he was hurt. He was hurt badly on his arm, because you could see it like that. So it's got hold of him, it's turned, ripped, and yanked. I think we need a number of changes in the country. I think we need education. I think we'd be better if we brought in dog licenses, a general dog license, and people have got to be educated on how to rear those dogs in the first place. The first 16 weeks of a dog's life will have the greatest impact on the end result of how that dog reacts around people and other dogs than any other time of its life times 10. It's called the critical periods. 0 to 12 weeks is the human socialization period. We need 100 people handling these dogs. We need young people, children. Children run around screaming, and when they run around screaming, what does it do? We've seen what it does. It causes the dogs, if they're not used to children doing that sort of thing, to attack. 0 to 16 weeks is canine socialization period. That's mixing with other dogs. A lot of people get bitten. The most part of people get bitten because one dog fights another dog, a person jumps in, and that person gets bitten. It's called redirected aggression. If you jump in on that situation, you are going to get hurt. If you're going to try and break up that type of dog fight, there's a specific way of doing it. First of all, don't go around the front, lead a face. Pick up the back legs of the dog and lift it up like that. It then has got no force through his thighs and his back to push forward and carry on. And then drag it away. You can actually spin it over. A lot of people think that if you shove your hand down his throat, yeah, you could do that, but you're going to get your own badly bitten. The other thing is that you can break its jaw by opening it. Don't even bother going there. No, you pick it up by the back, like that. You can, if it's going to kill that dog and everything like that, you can wind it, you can knee it, and do very other things. Because don't forget, this dog could kill a person or that other dog. I think to conclude, my belief is bringing a licensing system, bringing education, bringing practical abilities to actually train the dog, get it comfortable around people, comfortable around other dogs. Some of the dogs of these dogs are clearly being weaponized. And they're serious grade 1 weapons as well, and they are being weaponized. And I think we have to understand that if someone's got a dog like that, then I believe it would be in this country's best interest, and every country's best interest, to create a specialised license for potentially dangerous dogs, not dangerous dogs, because dogs aren't generally born dangerous unless the bloodline and the person who created that situation has particularly wanted it that way. And there is certain bloodlines that are far more aggressive than any others, but we need a potentially dangerous dog license. It would be the type of dogs that we see in these clips. They would have blocky heads, powerful shoulders, back. So it's not a type. You're not saying it's a German Shepherd, you're not saying it's this, but it is a dog that has the potential to kill. And if that's the case, to be able to have that license, surely that person should have a specialised license and be checked over. If you wanted to have a license for a gun or a shotgun in this country, and let's face it, some of these dogs are as dangerous as a gun, you have to go through very stringent things to be able to hold that gun license. They check to see that you don't have any mental aberrations. If you have any record police record, especially for violence or aggression, if you've got mental health problems, if you're medically unable to hold one of these dogs that are that weight, and you'd go on weight, you'd go on looks and type, not specific breeds, and people would then have to hold one of these licenses, and anyone walking them, dog walkers or whatever, would have to have a license specially to be able to walk these dogs. And I believe the dogs should be walked in public with a muzzle and on a short lead. And if we do that, we'll cut down the amount of deaths. And out of those deaths that we've had, last year we had 10 deaths. 4 of them were children under 10. One of them, they could only recognize his body by his shoes. That's how badly the attack was. His name was Jack Less. We don't want to see that. I'm sure the people that own these dogs don't want to see that. And I'm sure the right people with these dogs, and there is a lot of right people with these dogs, would hopefully accept having a specialised licence to hold one of these. They love the breed, clearly. So you'd have to work for it to have it. You'd have to have education. The dog would have to be assessed as well. So over a certain weight, of a certain type, etc. Bringing dog licenses, general for just education and for the first 16 weeks, and of course one for a potentially dangerous dog.